Jeg har hodepine. Jeg trøtt. Det for varmt. Det for kaldt. Kjenner du det igjen? Vi har ikke løsningen på alt, men bedre inneklima, det kan vi hjelpe med. La oss skape renere luft med Panasonics varmepumpe som har innebygd nano-X-teknologi. Resten opp til deg. Å velge varmepumpe har aldri vært lettere. Ta kontroll med Panasonic HZ Flagship.
Nå 30 år siden Tyskland ble gjenforent, og 30 år siden Scorpions ga ut Crazy World. Dette Jernverket, jeg heter Helle Steinkløv, og jeg traff Scorpions for et par år siden. Før intervjuet noe jeg må si. For at Jernverket skal overleve som podcast, trengs det midler. Og du kan bidra med støtte månedlig via patreon.com/jernverket, eller gi en enkeltsum via Vipps-nummer 567438. Beløpet selvsagt valgfritt. All informasjon står nederst i episodebeskrivelser med lenker som fører deg rett til kassen. Tusen takk for alle bidragene så langt. Jeg klarer ikke dette uten deg.
Yeah, okay, so then we'll just skip the fan question and go right on the case, or whatever we say in Norwegian and Swedish. I'm here with Scorpions. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, hello.
Mikkey and Matthias.
Yes.
And you've been...
the two M's.
Mm-hmm. M&M's?
Yeah.
M&M's.
What M&M is your favorite?
Actually the brown one, or yellow one.
I think I go for the blue one.
That's a new question.
The yellow and blue, well, see, makes Swedish.
Yes, yellow and blue.
Yes, I understand you've been doing a lot of press the last few days.
Yeah, of course. We have a new album coming out. It's a ballad album, it's a compilation. But at least it has 3 brand new songs and a couple of versions the fans haven't heard so far. It should come out day after tomorrow. And it's called Born to Touch Your Feelings. And it is a ballad album. It's perfectly timed for Christmas, of course. It's one of those record company ideas which we enhanced and said, okay, we need to record new stuff. Otherwise, we are selling the same to the fans. But then again, that's not true, because we have remastered versions, we have re-recorded versions, and it's all together. It's a pretty valuable package. And so we did some of the interviews for that reason, others for shows that are coming up. Not so much in Oslo, but shows doing great tonight. And but for like countries we haven't played in at the end of this tour, it's Serbia and Slovenia. It's, I think, country number 84 and 85 on our list.
Mm-hmm. We're in the middle of the tour, so there's always a lot of press going on. And, you know, we got a lot of requests while we were in Russia. We almost did 3 weeks of Russia now. And personally, I moved all this stuff forward, and then it gets to an explosion, which happened when we had a few days off, and here we are now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we could start, no, not exactly at the beginning, because you came into the band in 78.
Right,
and
but that's when it started.
Yeah, as you say, because
as
then you came.
One knows.
But then Scorpions had already been doing that for, or playing music for about 13 years. Can you remember the first time you heard about Scorpions and that this is a band?
Yes, I would say I heard about them maybe first time around like 74, 75. They played the City Fest in our hometown Hanover, and they played like at the river, and they were not bad. There was still the days with Michael, and when Uli John Roth joined, I knew about it. I listened to them because Uli is a good friend of mine, and his younger brother and myself, we went to school together. We come from the same area outside of Hanover, and we played guitar together before we even knew the Scorpions existed. And so there you have it.
But also Scorpions was the first real German rock band. So I'm sure a lot of Germany in general heard about. I mean, there was not a lot of rock bands coming out of Germany.
There was this weird stuff called krautrock. That was like an American expression for German rock. There was a bit of the like experimental music, like freaky style, in the late 60s, early 70s, and the Scorpions always tried to not be part of this. They try to be, like, more like British, American influenced, and that's why they had to go out of Germany to make their luck. So they went to Holland, Belgium first, and later on to England and France, because in Germany, an English singing German band at the time was not that popular. So they had to go
Which
abroad
you could
to come
probably
back.
understand.
It's still not
Vice
popular.
versa. Oh yes, it is. Now you don't think about it.
It's only German singing people there.
But it's like what Matthias says. We have the same thing both Norway and Sweden. At once a band steps out of the actual nationwide type of music, like Scorpions have played more melodic, as I said, more, if you will, traditional rock than maybe. Same in Sweden. We had the same problems. Most bands sounded the same at that time of and place, and as soon as you stepped out of that, you had to really leave the country, to be able to play, because you were not really accepted in the beginning. It takes some time.
But how did you end up in Scorpions? You're
Yeah.
the new guy now. This
I
time.
am the super new. I'm so new. I'm like a little
He's so
fucking
shiny.
pink baby. No, it's been a year and a half now. Actually, Matthias.
I had the idea that we should give Mikkey a call, because James, the previous drummer, he had health problems, and first the idea was to find somebody who could help us in case anything goes wrong. But and secretly, it was like more the James Bond story. That Mikkey was like, following us on tour, being like driven by his own driver and car, undercover, sometimes in a different hotel, so James didn't notice. But, we have a high-flying drum riser, and you can't have somebody up in 7 meters height if he's not sober. And therefore sometimes we couldn't use our show effects, and among other things. And I'm glad we found Mikkey. We rehearsed in the afternoon, we played the show in the evening, and then that's how he learned the set. Scorpion set is quite different from Motorhead. I mean, for you it was brand new, and it takes a few days, even though he's very fast.
It was very hard, actually, because I got the call on a Thursday, and the first show was on Saturday. But as Matthias said, I was asked to be on standby.
He didn't have to play that song.
I didn't have to play.
But he watched the show.
I had to come down to Luxembourg and start following them and be in standby and try to learn this as quick as I could, in case James couldn't play. Because I guess the patients, they were running out of patience with the problems with poor James, and he had to seek help. But I was hoping every day that he actually could play, because he gave me an extra day to actually, because I was sitting during the day studying the DVDs, and in the evening I saw the show. I had my in-ears. I was sitting in disguise, close as I could to the stage, just so that it was reaching, to learn the set as good as I could, And then we jammed 3 or 4 times in a dressing room, just a little drum kit, just tapping away the songs. And but we felt it right away. I mean, I came from Motorhead, just buried Lemmy in Los Angeles, and the timing was, if it's going to be right at all, that was the right timing for me as well, because I was kind of down, after 25 years with the Motorhead boys, you know, and they also ran into a bit of problems. So together we clicked right away.
It's a very long time.
Yeah.
25 years, quarter of a century. I mean, this is something you don't overcome in a year. I mean, he is still like.
It's been taken.
Yeah.
Now we can feel that we're locking in good, and we see. I like to be like a good goalie back there, you know, in football or hockey, whatever. They have to trust me back there, and then they play better. They could do their deal instead of always being worried about the backbone. Like this is how Matthias plays, and Rudolph like that. But you know what I mean. They have to trust me. But before you have to earn that trust. You have to feel that it sounds good, and the show is coming together in a good way, and getting used to my drumming, and I have to get used to their playing. But after a year and a half now, it feels really, really good.
It feels good for like more than a year now. Yeah. I mean, you know, we locked in pretty quickly, and now we are in an unstoppable train.
Yeah, I guess the plans of retiring and not touring anymore, they are just put on hold like forever now.
The plan to retire came up 2010. 7.5 years ago. The idea, I remember, you know, I was thinking Klaus is the oldest and maybe he was tired singing. So this idea was around and we were all thinking about it, and we were touring and giving interviews. And at some point, I remember we were in Portugal at the airport and asked Klaus, who came up with the idea? And he answered, I don't know. Rudolf? No. We have to check with him. The fucking idea came from our ex-manager. And so we followed it because he explained it in a way it makes most sense to do it, you know, at the right spot, and you know, before you get too old and all this bullshit. And during the tour we noticed, hey, we have too much fun. We are still too fit to finish, and you know, we enjoy what we are doing. And the fans wouldn't let us go anyway, never mind the promoters, you know. So we have plans to play Australia and New Zealand next November, in a year from now. So much for retiring. And the offers for 2019 are coming in. 30 years of Wacken, for example.
All of 18 is booked up, basically.
Yeah. We start early this time.
Yeah, in March, which is great. So
and there's nothing inside. Everybody loves what we are doing. You know, while we are doing it, we have a great time on tour, and so even the older guys are enjoying it.
Well, you have the two factors. I always say you have two factors. You have the health factor, which is no problem, knock on wood, with the band, and you have the fun factor. When the fun starts seeping out and you lose that, then it goes quick, and you might as well stop. But now, since we kind of hooked up here a year and a half ago, everybody has a really, really good time. Yep. But I remember both Matthias and Rudolf told me too, before I actually joined the band, they said, you know, having a member, not necessarily James or so, but to have a member in a band where you can't trust, and to create this nervousness, you know, is it going to be good today? Is it going to be bad today? You read reviews, oh, he was so, you know, then you start losing that feeling that you are unbeatable, you know. And we had this exact same problem with Motorhead. If I compare with Virgil or the other guitar player, he was happy as a fucking clam, playing his ass off from one tour to the other. He was riding with a crew, if he could, in the buses. He was miserable. He didn't like it. He played like shit. He went down in 3 months. He was like, he never played guitar in his life. And said he didn't enjoy it at all. So it was time for him to go. And when he left, we got a new energy, and it was great fun, and we played for 20 more years. So you know what I mean? That's what happened.
It's the chemistry between the musicians, and you know, Scorpions has always been based on friendship. Yeah. You can tell. I mean, we spend so much time together. if there is somebody in the band whom you don't like, it's not like with your neighbor. You can close your door and say, okay, I don't say hello to this guy. We see each other every day for many hours, especially when we are traveling together on a tour bus in America. It shows quickly if somebody doesn't fit into the band or crew immediately.
There's no faking in this occupation. You can't. You might be able to fake a couple of weeks being Mr. Nice Guy, but in the end, it comes down. We spend more time together than we do with our families. The family number 2 or number 1, whatever you want to call it. But we all have 2 families, and this is one family, and this takes up more time than the other family. And you can't really fake that. You might as well. You could cover it up for smaller periods of time, but that's it. And on stage, I mean, this is an important factor. When we go on stage, now I can feel a glow. And you see bands that play fucking great. They play perfect, but they don't have that charisma. They don't glow to the audience, and that's a huge difference. Something's wrong up there.
No,
we just don't know what it is.
From Kiev, which is very close to Chernobyl, we glow in the dark.
Yeah.
I can see that you roll.
We just came from Kiev.
Exactly.
I had to sleep in a different bedroom first couple of nights. Yeah. Mia said it's like daylight in here.
And you can't sneak out anymore.
No,
I can see you in the dark.
I look like the Hulk.
Perfect.
I looked like the great Hulk when I came home. Holy shit, by the 14, whatever they call it. Yeah. The level I told you about. The level of...
what's it called? The
radiation.
Yeah, what's it? It was a becquerel?
It's here, and in normal countries like 1.1 or something, or 0.8. In Kiev, it's over 14.
Yeah, this Geiger counter here says 15 now.
15?
Yeah. So you're quite radioactive.
We are.
If it starts beeping, you have to drop this thing.
Hittil I år har Telenor stoppet over 20 millioner svindelanrop. Vet du hvilke nummer du kan stole på?
For sikkerhetens skyld har vi inkludert viktige sikkerhetstjenester I våre mobilabonnement, slik at du blant annet skal kunne føle deg litt tryggere når det ringer fra ukjente nummer. Bli tryggere med mobilabonnement fra Telenor. Se Telenor.no.
Kiwi jobber hver dag for å være Norges billigste lavpriskjede, og nå presser vi prisene på hundrevis av julevarer. På 1–1,5 kilo Lerøy lutefiska torsk presser vi prisen fra 159 helt ned til 149 per kilo. På 300 gram Lerøy laksefilet uten skinn presser vi prisen fra 99 helt ned til 79,90. Prisene gjelder helt fram til 31. desember. For det vi som prispresserne, og vi I Kiwi gir oss aldri på pris. God jul!
But throughout the years, you put out a whole lot of albums. Which one is your least favorite?
From the Scorpions catalog. The least favorite is obviously the one we recorded at the end of the 90s, Eye to Eye. It's never been a fan's favorite, never been my favorite. Is when, the second half of the 90s, when grunge and alternative made it really difficult to all the classic rock bands, because it seemed like, like journalists are, you can imagine, or people from the record companies or radio stations, they always go for the latest trend. And then all of a sudden, it was like, rock is dead. It's all old-fashioned. This is past. You played like a great guitar riff. Oh,
another solo.
Guitar solo. Oh, forget that. It's all new now. We all play like the fucking grunge people who never played one proper guitar solo in their entire lives. And as a sensitive musician, even though we know what we are doing, you are influenced by that shit if you keep hearing it. So we were in the studio with the wrong producer, and what came out was this album. Then we went on tour. We even cut our hair. So, looking back, I go like, oh man, what went wrong? And so the only good thing about this is that we learned from it very quickly. It was, looking back for me, it was the best mistake we made because it was so obvious that we couldn't go on like this. So, immediately back to the studio, do something else, and find your way back to the roots. So we did, and thank God, as soon as the year 2000 started, we were back on track. But it was awful.
We did this exact same year, 99.
Yeah,
we did the shittiest album with the wrong producer, and it wasn't so much grungy, but it was. We were based in LA, and LA died, completely died. Sunset died out, everything died. It was really hard in the end of the 90s for bands that have been around forever and played traditional rock, or it was really hard. And we did the same thing, but also both me and Lambo sitting saying, it's a fucking shit album, and I go, yeah.
We got that going for us.
That's the only shitty one, but it's good, as you say. Yeah. You adjusted really quick.
We had to.
Back to the roots.
Because we noticed, we are on the wrong path. I mean, looking back, this is like almost 20 years ago. How time flies. And in a career that's like 50 years roughly, only one dip, that's pretty good.
It's nothing.
Because usually it's natural that the career doesn't always go like this. It goes like this and stands still, a bit down and up, and same with the Scorpions. We had phases that were not always great. The 80s were fantastic. There was just sheer up there. But of course it's very difficult to maintain that level. But throughout the many, many, many decades, we managed that quite good.
No bands have just stayed on the same level, but which is also an ingredient that inspires you. It would be quite boring if it just always was a dance on a fucking banana shell. It's great when you have to sometimes sit down and figure out what the deal is, because you kind of go back. It's like a monopoly. You go back to go, and you analyze a little bit. This is not right, and this is right, So it wouldn't be fun if you just slide it away, and you want to get inspired. It's easy to sit back and feel comfortable and go, everything is great, But I always say you have your feet right here on the edge. You always have to keep working forward, otherwise you're going to fall down. So so it's great. I get inspired by some hard times sometimes. It's good.
But what about music, art, and controversy? In the 70s and the 80s, many of your album covers were considered very controversial. Some of them still are. Is it more difficult today to do something like shocking or being afraid of people misinterpreting or misunderstanding the signal behind it? Do you have to be more careful now?
It's too politically correct today, a lot of this stuff. I mean, what would you say, the glimpse in your eye, the humor, the acceptance of see what it is, it's pretty much gone in a lot of ways, which is a little too bad, I'd say,
I mean, there were great times, as Mickey said. Today everything has to be politically correct, but even back then in America, my first album, Love Drive, they had to put it first in a plastic bag, in a red cover. It's like when the girl and the guy sit in the back of a car, Elton John's Mercedes 600, by the way, and he puts off this bubble gum from her tit.
Yeah. And
so the Americans were so offended. They're a bit weird anyway. You should have seen the girls backstage. And then finally we had to change the cover. especially for Walmart. I met Mrs. Walton once and told her she was not amused, but I didn't like that. And today, I mean, it's also because it was a big vinyl. Vinyl's coming back to a certain extent. But then if you have something in this format, like a CD, it's not, you don't try as hard because it doesn't look good anyway. But let me show you our new cover, since you obviously don't even know.
No, I don't know how it looks like, so...
you didn't even know we have a new album out. But
I heard that it was coming, but I didn't know that there were 3 new songs.
Yeah. Let me see if I find it.
But in the older days, the album cover sold the album. Mm-hmm. And that's not the deal today as much, because when you went into a record store, I bought, for instance, Thin Lizzy Jailbreak because of the cover. I went in and saw this killer cover. I go, wow. And I listened to the music and I fell in love immediately, with Thin Lizzy. So album covers sold the music, in a lot of ways. And today it's less like that. You don't really see these record stores where you have the new albums coming up,
Even though I still think they are important.
I think a great importance, but they don't sell the album like they used to do in the 70s and 80s.
I mean, things have changed so much. To sell an album is only for bands like us who are very established, because we are going back to the one song thing, like the 60s. People are downloading the song they like, that's it.
Yeah.
There's almost no point in recording an album with 15 songs these days. Why? I have to...
Unless you make 15 super good songs. The only thing hard rock has against all other kinds of music is that our fans collect our stuff. And I am very grateful, because they want to own the CD. They want to own the vinyl. They buy the vinyl. First they buy the CD, then the vinyl comes. They buy that. Then there's a Japanese edition. They buy that. Then they get the US edition. They want to buy that. With Motorhead, they could buy 5, 6, 7 albums of the same album, because they collect. They want to have that piece of jewelry in their hand,
So this is why you're making compilations and 1 and 2 new songs, just to make us buy even more. We need to buy it.
I found it.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
See?
Yeah.
To some people,
kind of Lolita-ish, that too.
That is back to some kind of controversy.
Mystique, yeah.
It fits right into the Helmut Newton, Love at First Sting, the black and whites from the 80s. It's about the same style.
Hashtag me too.
Yeah, we are back to a little bit of controversy.
How much did the band say about? Did you have a
All
say
of it.
about? Yeah.
All of it. You ask a record company, you get some sketch. Can't be. This is the very famous photographer Ellen von Unwerth. She's from Vogue, and she's an older lady, but she's a great photographer. And she is very classy, as you can tell. It's one of her pictures which Klaus always liked, and he knows her personally. So he got in straight contact, and that came out. It was too expensive for the record
But
company,
to answer your question a little bit about compilation, is that why it's not a lot of money in this. But what it does do, it keeps you updated a little bit. It's a reason. See, you sitting here, we're talking about this. You do a lot of more press about it. You have a recent product out that because you can't keep writing albums maybe every year or every other year. I mean,
not when you're on the road for 1 year.
Because they want that. But then you go, okay, we'll make a new record. But that means we're going to be off-road for a year, maybe. Oh, no, are you kidding? You're coming next year, right? So it's impossible. But a thing like this, we do it with Motorhead as well. And I have to compare all the time, because it's kind of the same deal, that we release something to be up to date a little bit. So, but when you're talking or thinking that it's only a money thing, you're completely wrong, because there's not a lot of money in this anymore at all. It's more to be updated.
Fresh songs.
Yeah, fresh stuff.
Something new to play.
And you give the fans something new, It's great.
But you're visible everywhere, since you have Scorpions emojis now too, so you can...
But they don't work on WhatsApp.
Oh, no.
That's what we use most of the time.
I don't use
I don't
WhatsApp,
send emails with emojis, you know what I mean?
No.
You don't do that. So we have to work on that.
Du har hørt et intervju med Scorpions spilt inn i 2017. Likte du det, kan du for eksempel høre episodene med Flight og Horisont. I november skal Woodcut Records gjenutgi 3 Beheksen-utgivelser, og i den anledning tenkte jeg kunne være trivelig å få et gjenhør med en Bjørn, gitarist i Beheksen.
Når vi står og spiller, så blir vi jo ett med de energiene vi jobber med. Vi går ikke ned på kne og tilber noe som er høyere, så vi blir jo ett med de energiene og de gudene som blir tilbedt.
Abonner på Jernverket podcast via podcast-app, eller gå inn på jernverket.com for å få med deg hver eneste episode. Spre ordet og legg igjen en 5-stjerner, hør på podden, og hvis du vil bidra med litt kronasj i tillegg for at jeg skal kunne fortsette, så kan du gi støtte månedlig via Patreon, eller et enkeltbeløp via Vips. Informasjonen ligger i episodebeskrivelser. Og husk på å følge med i Jernverket på Instagram og Facebook for konkurranser, blant annet månedens album fra Katakomben, diskusjoner og musikalske tips. Jeg heter Helle Steinkløv og gir deg et nytt eller gammelt hardrock-intervju hver fredag. Vi høres!
Hos Kiwi er det bare muligheter. Velg mellom billig, billigere eller billigst tørkeruller. 4-pakk Lambi Dekor tørkeruller til 42,90. 4-pakk Unik Soft tørkeruller til 35,90. Eller 4-pakk First Price tørkeruller til 34,40. For vi i Kiwi gir oss aldri på pris. God jul!